So I haven't shaved, and I apologize for that. I'm very self-conscious because my mustache grows in like the creeps, and so it's bad, and I know it's bad. Caroline, how you doing?
I'm really good. How are you?
Well, I'm doing well. Welcome to another The Corkboard Chronicle with Caroline and Kirby. We got to catch up a little more because you had a fantastic weekend this weekend. You just got back. Tell us about it.
I did. I went and saw Billie Eilish in Kansas City. So
Round of
good.
applause. I
I
can't
didn't
believe it.
plan on going. My friend had an extra ticket and asked if I wanted to go. And I was like,
Okay.
I'm probably 75% up on all of her stuff. So I was like, I think I can do it.
Yeah,
I ended up knowing almost every song. And I mean, she puts on such a good show. It
I'm
was
telling you.
unreal.
And it's wild because I feel like the staging on that tour is pretty sparse. Like it's really just her, right?
Yeah, it's like a 360 stage, so she kind of is
Mm-hmm.
just moving around it. And yeah, her band is there, but they're kind of in these like sunken areas. So most of the time it
Okay,
was just kind of her up there.
gotcha. 360. More on that later.
Yeah, she had her little
Mm.
small stage doing Guess, which was really fun.
Oh, interesting. With any guests?
That was the funny thing. I was there with my friend. She goes, "What if she brings Charlie out to do Guess?" And I was like, "Well, Charlie's busy tonight. I know
Charlie's like
that."
really busy. Yeah, like notably booked. Yeah.
There's one person I know is not going to be in Kansas City tonight. It's
She's
Charlie.
doing a live show somewhere else. Um, oh, that's so much fun. Did she? Was it all from like the most recent album, or did she mix in some
There
hits,
was
some
a
tunes from the
good,
previous?
it was, I would say a third of it was from the new album, and then the rest of it was kind of from the other three.
Okay,
So, which it was
nice.
good. The third one is the one I'm like not quite off book on,
Uh huh.
but I knew like the singles from that album, so it was okay.
Yeah,
But it
yeah.
was really,
You
really
get
fun.
by. Yeah, that was such that. That always looks like such a good show when I see like
hmm
clips and stuff. You went to Kansas City, right, for that?
Yeah, yeah.
How far is that from you?
2.5 hours,
Oh, okay,
so
okay.
it's not that bad.
See, yeah, geographically, I if it's not like the southeast, I can't really
Yeah.
tell where things are, especially being in the northeast now. So I was worried you like did a 6 hour drive back for this today. I'm like, oh no,
No,
thank God.
not that bad.
Um, yeah, oh, that's so much fun. When you got to bring maybe that's a segment we do. If you go see a show, we got like the Caroline tour breakdown. Whatever you
Mm,
saw over the weekend, you come back and tell
yeah.
us about it.
I gotta go to more shows then.
Well, hey,
If I
the
have
show
to.
will pay for it.
Yeah, that's it.
Um, maybe not.
Tax
Um,
write-off.
yeah, something like that. We'll ask the bookies that run this thing. Um, we need to call back to something from last episode. I think we talked about it at the tail end of it.
hmm
There was take me through generally what you said last week because what you said turned out to be correct, and I wasn't even familiar with any of it happening.
So that was is it the third episode of the season?
I think so. Ariana Grande.
Ariana Grande. Yeah, I think that was the third episode. I was watching live on Peacock, and they did a sketch, and then next up was supposed to be Stevie's second song. And
Hmm.
then the commercial went, and then it switched back to one of, the Stevie Nicks like bumper for
Hmm.
a while, and I kind of was looking at it, waiting.
Like,
And then
okay,
that kind of
great.
went away, and we went into another commercial break, and
Just a
that lasted
bizarre.
another few minutes, and then it jumped back
Uh-huh.
in, and then they did Stevie's performance, and then the show kind of went on as usual. But then
Hmm.
later on Twitter, I saw someone say something about soundboard issues causing them
Hmm.
to have to swap out the last sketch for the dress rehearsal version.
And that was all true. I don't know how we addressed it before. I didn't mean to cast any doubt. I just had no idea. I was out in Colorado watching that episode live, which every time I'm in Colorado, I'm like, oh, Mountain Time. Everything comes
Yeah.
on 2 hours earlier. Like I can still get a good night's sleep after watching SNL. And but because it was so early, like people were still over at the house, we were hanging out, and so I wasn't fully locked in paying
Hmm.
attention. And that whole thing completely escaped me. But I've done the research now, as I'm expected to do on this program, and I want to illustrate for the people who might not be familiar with exactly what went down or why or how. Want to take you through at least our best guess, but this seems to be an accurate picture of what went down on the October 12th Ariana Grande show. So the first hour of the show goes by pretty much without a hitch. So here's a look at the last half hour of the program as scheduled. It was supposed to be Ariana Grande as the castrati. It's crazy to say that with a straight face. Into a commercial, Stevie Nicks commercial, live sketch commercial, live sketch commercial. So what ended up happening was Stevie Nicks was slated to go on. They even took the studio feed back live, but yeah, it was some sort of soundboard issue, and I don't really know the specifics of that, but essentially, like, I don't know if they had to do a full reboot. Like, clearly it wasn't as catastrophic as it seemed because they were
Hmm.
still able to get that performance up. But I remember even, last episode, my takeaway from the Stevie Nicks performance is at least the second song was that the mix was way off.
Yeah.
Something was not right. Like she was too loud. Her like backup singers were really standing out too, and I was just like, something's off. Now we probably know why and what happened. So they come back from commercial 6 right here. Stevie Nicks no longer goes on in that slot. They have to run 2 commercials back to back. So they don't take out commercial break number 7. They have to take it anyway, only 55 seconds after the end of commercial 6.
Hmm.
Then the soundboard miraculously returns. So we're able to stage Stevie Nicks. That moves in down here. You still need a commercial break after a musical guest to restage cameras, get cast set up. There's a whole thing that's going into that. Ariana is dressed to introduce and not dressed for a sketch, things like that.
Hmm.
So we still take this commercial 8. So commercial 8 comes out, moves down to right after the Stevie Nicks performance instead of after the Maybelline sketch. When we come back from commercial 8, we go up on the Maybelline sketch as aired, but there's an issue because we're really pushing the end of the show here. There's not enough time to run 2 more sets of commercials that it's going to take to run the rest of this show as scheduled. The sketch that was supposed to go up after Maybelline was a Cinema Classics, where Ariana Grande plays Judy Garland. So like Reese DeWatt introducing Ariana Grande playing Judy Garland, which would have been incredible to see,
I would love to see it.
but I would still love to see it, honestly. Just find a way,
Yeah.
SNL. Um, but they can no longer take another commercial break here. They're going to need to run 2 sketches back to back. Ariana Grande cannot make the costume change out of Jennifer Coolidge into Judy Garland in time. So the only remaining option here, I don't know if they were fresh out of pre-tapes or what have you, the only remaining option was to put in a sketch from dress rehearsal. Now, you may be wondering, why not put Cinema Classics dress rehearsal version into the show? Well, I suppose that's cause for discussion. There's 2 options, I think. I think either, because we talked about last time how the sketch that they ended up running had some errors in it. Like we had a visible cue card and there were some
Hmm.
like missed lines. I don't know if there were missed lines, but it was just not the smoothest. So there could have been technical issues with the Cinema Classics sketch, or it could have been too long. They might not have had enough time to execute the entire Cinema Classics sketch. Because the one that they ended up running, Hotel Detective, came in at about 3 minutes and 10 seconds, but Cinema Classics in the past are usually 5 minutes or more. So if they were worried about running up over time, or not being able to
Hmm.
make the cuts out of the edited piece, which is tough to do on the fly, um, then that's just not an option for what they were offered. So then Hotel Detective goes up instead immediately after Maybelline, and this is what we end up with as the show aired on Saturday night / Sunday morning. Really wild. Like, you don't see this happen often.
Yeah.
I can't remember. It was Late Nighter that did the full article, like, breakdown of, best they could piece together what happened.
Hmm.
And I think they said, like, they have never had to uh like roll in a dress rehearsal sketch like this in like 15 years or more, like maybe almost 20 years.
I mean, I feel like
Um,
they usually would have a extra pre-tape maybe,
mhm,
or there'd be, in theory, some please don't destroy something that they could throw in there
something
to
laying
fill the
around. I
time,
know,
but I guess in this case there wasn't anything.
yeah, and I know, like, the late 2000s, they made a habit of repeating, like, commercial sketches a lot, which made
Yeah.
sense
Yeah.
because they're trying to mirror, like, the actual experience of watching a commercial. You're going to see the same one 4 times probably, but not in the same episode, but across different episodes.
Hmm.
But yeah, it was a very very strange, interesting scenario that so when you ended up watching that live and you caught the whole, like, something's up with this musical performance, did anything throw you about going from Maybelline right into Hotel Detective?
I guess at the time I didn't really clock that that was strange, but I don't know that at
Hmm.
that point I was paying super close attention
Yeah, and
after the
also,
double commercials and all of that. So I guess
right.
it didn't occur to me to be like, oh, how is this live? How'd they, get set for that so quick? But
Hmm. Yeah, and also, Hotel Detective did start with, like, a title card and a text
yeah.
screen.
Hmm.
So it's conceivable that
In theory,
Ariana could
yeah.
have made that change in 15 seconds or so. They've done crazier things,
Yeah.
but yeah, that's what actually happened. The Hotel Detective sketch we watched was not being taped at 12:50 at night. It was taped at about 9:30, 9:45,
Hmm. Hmm.
and rolled in after the fact. So yeah, really, just bizarre turn of events. And then obviously they haven't had to cut out of a musical performance. This technically wasn't a cut out of a musical performance, but the last time anything like that happened, where one was supposed to go on and didn't, was Ashley Simpson. So it's been a long
Oh,
time
yeah.
since something like that has happened.
And you hate to see it happen to Stevie.
I know. Of all the people, of all the
Yeah.
bookings,
That's the one you
um,
kind of want to get right.
exactly, for sure. But yeah, so excellent catch on that, Caroline, and just another fascinating, like, live TV magic trick that they were able to pull off.
Yeah.
Yeah, something else. So there you go. Now let's get into the current stuff. That's all our
Okay.
housekeeping for the past stuff. Now, we've had 2 post-election episodes. Election was maybe not what SNL or the country needed.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
watching the Bill Burr episode, I'm sitting here thinking, like, is this going to end up changing the tone overall of the rest of the season? For the Bill Burr episode, I feel it was a challenge,
Yeah.
but I think they kind of overcame it for the Charlie XCX show. It was just so raw on Bill Burr night.
Yeah. I mean, I I don't the expectations for that specific episode. I don't know that they could have met them because I feel like everybody was like, what are they gonna do? What's it gonna be? What are they gonna say? And I don't know
Yeah,
that
I
anything really would have satisfied everybody.
no, never. Even if they had won, it would
Yeah.
have been like, if they had won, if Kamala had won, which in turn would have been a win for SNL, I
Yeah.
think.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, we'd be in a whole mess of, you know, bull. If
Right.
that had happened, a whole different set of problems if Kamala wins, protests, whatever. So yeah, that episode was always going to be like a challenge for anybody.
Yeah. Yeah.
But again, I think like I wrote that particular like talking point before the Charlie XCX episode. Again, I think that had a more like let's continue to have a little bit more fun vibe.
Definitely.
Um, well, and not that the Bill Burr episode didn't bend that direction, but I don't think people were ready for it. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? There were
Yeah, I
some
think
great
it needed a
sketches in the
little
Bill
time.
Burr. Yeah, there were some great sketches in the Bill Burr episode that like the studio audience just wasn't feeling.
Yeah.
So let's just say we'll see. I'm sure we're getting a lot more cameos too. Um,
Seems like
you
it.
know, yeah, we'll see. But hey, so I don't know. This is another thing that like I wasn't fully up on. Sudi Green, who
Yeah.
yeah was a writer up until from like 2015, I want to say, to 2021, is
That
back
sounds
on the
right.
writing staff, subbing in Celeste Yim, who took time off for health reasons, and that's all anybody really knows.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, so Sudi Green was a part of those. It remains to be a part of season 50 so far.
Is she still there? Because I think, if I don't, maybe I'm wrong. Doesn't she write for Maya Rudolph's show?
Let me check.
Because I thought maybe
Check
there
this on the
was like
fly.
she maybe came back specifically like with Maya, but if she's still sticking around, then maybe I'm wrong.
It's not on her IMDb, but that doesn't necessarily mean IMDb's
Yeah.
up to the task. But so Sudi Green is still credited as of the Charlie XCX episode.
Fair.
So I don't, yeah. And so actually, let's go ahead and talk about that. I think I had it listed for after the Bill Burr episode, but we have not seen Maya Rudolph since
Yeah.
the the last sketch before the election. So it's either who knows really what the terms of that contract was at this point, because now you have Alec Baldwin, who has appeared on more episodes than Maya Rudolph post
He's
election.
back.
He's back. He's back at it. But also, Andy Samberg drops a digital short last night, and Dana Carvey hasn't missed an episode. So
Right.
I, you know, I don't know the terms anymore of like what's going on there.
No, it seems, I mean, I guess maybe for specifically Maya and Jim Gaffigan, maybe it was, and Andy probably, it was contingent
Mm-hmm.
on, it was the contract through the election with an option to extend if
Option to
needed.
extend.
But it seems like
Mm-hmm.
Dana Carvey's just kind of signed on until, in theory, the inauguration.
That's true because I mean his role's still relevant here for a
Yeah.
bit, for not much longer, but still, uh, you know, lightly.
Mm,
But yeah, but that, and then the yeah, it's just it's so bizarre to have. I mean, to have these roles hired out, period, but to have them contracted is a really interesting just layer to all of that
yeah.
we still don't understand. We've tried, folks. We've tried to crack it. But yeah, so back to Sudi Green, Celeste Jim. So yeah, Sudi's still credited as a writer. Celeste not credited as a writer, but credited as a writing supervisor, and
Hmm.
has been this entire season, even though they are not actually here.
Right.
Right. Um, so yeah, really an interesting year to have so much, just a lot going on
Yes.
under the surface.
It's nice to have Sudi back.
Very much so. I love Sudi. So back in 2019, but right before the pandemic, it was Bowen's first season. I think I've told you about this, but they used to. So Sudi, Bowen, and another stand-up named Mo Fry Pasick
Mm-hmm.
used to have a stand-up show that they hosted together on every other Sunday at the Freehand Hotel here in New York. And it was free. It was $0 for most of the time I was going. I think I went to like 6 or 7 of these because
Oh wow.
it was free. It was super casual. They had 4 guest comedians every week, and everybody was just like having a good time. And it was actually crazy that was like even happening, especially with like with Bowen being actually physically on the show.
Right.
Like the first night I went to was the night after that season premiere.
Oh wow.
It was the next day. And so, man, like, what an experience. And the fact that COVID killed that show is a real travesty, even though
Yeah.
it was probably getting to the end of its like accessibility in a way. Just because it was getting so much more popular. They were starting to charge, even though it was $5, they were still starting to charge. But yeah, such a good show. So yeah, I'll always love Sudi Green, and then obviously her appearances on Las Culturistas, which we're due for, by the way.
Yeah, where is that?
We've not gotten the I don't know if I can say it, but the series that they do
Right.
with Sudi Green every year.
Yeah.
So hey, stay tuned. Maybe there's a winter version in the mix this year. But yeah, so okay. Do we want to discuss the other drama that's happening right now? That dropped this week?
I don't know if it's worth discussing. We can touch on it.
It's just stupid is mostly what it is.
Yeah.
It's like it's not stupid that like Chloe feels the way she does. It's just the whole thing, like the Elon Musk show never should have happened, and this is further proof.
Yeah.
Further proof of the matter.
Are we surprised at all that he acted like that?
No, not in the least. But the headline we're speaking of is when a few months ago, I don't remember what episode it was on, but Bowen Yang talked about how there was a male host at SNL within the last couple of years who was like making female cast members cry. Chloe Fineman hops on TikTok the other day, about like Tuesday maybe, literally a weekday, a show weekday,
Yeah.
and tells everyone that like because of post-election, like Elon Musk's influence over the whole White House situation. She said, "Yep, it was him and it was me."
Yeah.
Those were the blind item people in question, and yeah, again, there's not much here. It's not like you're not gonna bring Elon Musk on and leave that week going, he was really reasonable and collaborative.
Right.
And of course, Elon's just been all over Twitter, just complaining about the situation. It's just, it's all too much. And the fact that like SNL did what they could, right? For that episode. The fact that Elon Musk is proud of what resulted tells you all you need to know about his opinion of what's funny and what's not.
I don't even think I watched that episode all the way through.
I did.
I don't think I did.
But I think my face was like this. I think I just watched it like that the whole time.
Yeah, that seems right.
Just hands up here, like... Oh.
Just through your fingers?
Okay, yeah. And then the best part of that episode, unfortunately, I'm so sad that that's what her booking had to be. The musical guest was Miley Cyrus. The album was Plastic Hearts, which I think is my favorite one from her ever.
Oh.
And so when she got the SNL booking, I'm like, sweet. Wish it wasn't that week.
Yeah.
And then she didn't even perform 2 songs from that album. She gave one of them to the Kid Leroy.
Oh.
And I was just like, that's very polite of you, but I was really looking forward to some Plastic Hearts. Anyway.
Yeah.
The Elon Musk rabbit hole. Look, it's an episode we can pretend never happened.
I'd like to.
We can all move on. I do like when it gets referenced again, though. Like, there was a Weekend Update joke a few weeks ago where Colin Jost was like, it was a story about Elon Musk and Donald Trump. The punchline was essentially like they're going to host our Christmas show together,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
it was like, yeah, that's unfortunately
It's fair
sounds
hit.
like something SNL would do. Yeah, it's happened already for both of them.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So actually, okay, we do have to dip back into the past slightly. I briefly mentioned I want to actually put this into motion during our by the numbers segment.
Hmm.
We're going to be giving out. You have one and I have one of a sketch of the season badge and a performance of the season badge that we can give to people as we go, but once we give it to a new person, it takes it away from the previous. So we got to be really
Right.
careful who gets our badges here, Um, I have given my sketch of the season badge to the Ariana Grande mom at game night
Hmm.
sketch with where she essentially plays her own mom, which is terrifying. And then I do want to say, because I forgot to say it at the time, I am officially giving my performance of the season badge to Chapel Roan for Pink Pony Club. That's where mine's going.
Yep.
So I didn't say that then. I intended to. I just had to get that out there. But Caroline, you still have both of your badges in your drawer. Do you feel the need to give any right now, or are we gonna hold off a bit?
I can give them as of this moment.
You can't give them as of
I
this moment.
can.
Oh, you can. Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
As of where
Let's
we
hear
are
it.
right now, my
Uh huh.
performance of the year is also Pink Pony Club because,
It's gotta be. That
yeah,
was
I mean, it
just
is. Yeah,
yeah,
it is.
yeah.
And then it feels a little bit like a cop out, but my sketch of the year right now is Sushi Glory Hole. And I do think it'll be
That's a great
really, really
choice.
hard to top that. I don't know if that really
Yeah.
counts because it's so, it's Andy, it's not quite just a sketch, but that
Hey,
is the one I have revisited the
if
most.
it made it on air, it counts as far as I'm
Yeah.
concerned. Yeah, yeah. And that's a good metric to use. Because like we'll get to some today for these past two episodes that like I didn't really have a solid opinion on, but
Hmm.
ultimately I gave them the L because of that factor of like, would I go seek this out in 5 years?
Right.
And some of them where the answer was no, even though in the moment it's like, that's fun.
It's fine. Yeah.
Um, yeah, but okay, so those are your two right now. Again,
Yeah.
could change, could change. I like the more I'll be honest, the more I watched Sympathy is a Knife from last night, the more I was like, oh, like my fingers were twitchy over the performance of the season button because I was so shocked and we'll talk about it more, but like that is just her and a
Yeah.
track and like big block letters, but I was having so much fun watching it. I watched it with my roommate and he was like, that was a lot of like auto tune for me, and I'm like, but it wasn't necessary. It was an effect.
Yeah. It's like it's a
And
choice.
because if you're listening to that performance in particular, she's not phoning that song in at all, and it was really really fun to watch and a very like emotional song as well.
Hmm.
But yeah, so anyway, again, more on that later. But
Yeah.
while we're talking about musical guests, I had something hit my mind recently when I was like reminiscing on to be announced.
Hmm.
Uh, and it had me thinking. I have these people that I come back to every now and then, and I'm like, I want to see them on SNL. I feel like they were on SNL. I feel like they should have been, and they weren't.
Okay.
So I'm putting onto the floor a discussion topic. Is there an artist that you have in mind that has never made it to SNL, but you think would have really put on a good show and still, maybe still could?
Hmm.
I have mine if you're not ready with one, or maybe you are.
I have a couple I can go through. I had to do a lot of
Let's
research
hear
because
it.
every time I was like, well, has this person? I would look it up, and they had one
Hmm.
episode back in 2002 or whatever.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
The one I found that I was surprised was Paramore.
Ooh.
Never been
Wow.
on SNL at all.
That's a great one. Because there
Yeah.
were so many times that they ended up on the radio that you would think they came
Mhm.
around, but wow, good find, good find.
Mhm.
Because they would. They'd bring down the house.
I think that'd be a really fun show, especially like,
Hmm.
in the 2010s when they were putting out just like hit after hit. Would have been
Hmm.
fun.
Yeah, and that feels like a band that SNL really could have forged a relationship
Mhm.
with.
Yeah.
Arcade Fire is going to come around every time. The Foo Fighters are going to come around every time. And those are some like rock groups that are gonna nail it. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's an excellent pull. What are your other ones?
Celine Dion.
She's never done it.
Never done it. Yeah. They've like parodied her on it, but she
Hmm.
has never herself been the musical guest or anything.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, that. It's got to happen. It's got
I
to happen right
mean,
now.
still could.
Still could. Yeah, that's crazy because that's another like. And you picked two genres that do really well on
Yeah.
SNL: rock groups and like major powerhouse like vocalists.
Right. You
You
know that
know.
she would put on just a like good performance from like a technical standpoint
Mm-hmm.
to just
Yeah.
be good.
Yeah. Just something you would like to see and like to
Yeah.
know that like this is happening live. This is happening right now.
Right.
Yeah. Oh, those are good. Those are really good. Mine might seem really silly, but I have my reasons.
Let me hear
Everyone, hold my hand. Come with me on this, okay?
it.
Some of you might go, Doja Cat, okay?
She's never been on it?
Doja Cat never made it on for any of her like viral songs that were
Uh-huh.
around. And the reason that I started thinking about Doja Cat again is because there is a performance of obviously Say So was her big like TikTok song
Yeah.
for lack of a better word, the one that like really ramped up on the pop charts and everything. She when that was big, obviously she was performing it at every possible turn. Like
Yeah.
everybody was asking her to perform Say So. And that was the first time I have seen anybody fully fully acknowledge that we're in a different age. The social media age is different. The previous thought process of going on different award shows for different genres, for different demographics, was I'm bringing my song to new eyes. It's being
Yeah.
introduced to other people. But now in social media, when you're a fan of somebody, you're seeing every one of their performances.
Right.
And so that was the first time I had ever seen anybody take those different booking opportunities to do something completely different with the same song.
Mm-hmm.
Not just the staging, which also changed every time, but like choreography, costuming, sometimes even the arrangement of the song was brand new.
Yeah.
So my particular favorite performance of Say So, she did a metal version of Say So for the European VMAs back in 2020. And you think it's going to be like, okay, no, I'm sorry, folks. She absolutely nailed it. And so somebody like that can like uh, metamorphosize their song, their music, their performances is going to do something super unique and different for SNL. And
Yeah.
every time she had a new album out, I'm like, this could be the one, this could be the one. And she never made it on.
I thought of her when I was thinking about this question, and I just
Hmm.
assumed that she had.
Yeah, she never made it around. And I swear, every time she would hit the charts again, I'm like,
Yeah.
let's do it. So
That's
anyway,
crazy.
maybe our influence, our this fierce 16-person army that we have watching the
Yeah.
Corkboard Chronicle is going to get Doja Cat booked on SNL the next time she has an album out. Maybe. I'm not saying for sure, but maybe.
I think we can start the campaign now.
Okay, yeah. Launch it right now. We'll
Right.
be ready when she's ready, when she has
Yeah.
another booking up. Okay. Oh, I'm still not over just even the idea of Paramore or Celine Dion. Like, yeah. Oh, it feels like there should be some incredible '90s episode, but yeah,
That's
it's just
why didn't Celine go on during like Titanic? Like
I
what?
know.
Where was she?
Yeah, yeah. I don't know, man. Missed opportunity. But
Yeah.
do you think like Lorne sits back sometimes and is like, oh, like there's some people that he sees performing on an award show or something. He's like, damn it, it didn't get to them.
There was
He's
one
probably not looking back much.
when I was looking, there was one I was looking up a specific group because I couldn't remember if they'd hosted. They hosted in an early episode of the very first season and or not hosted, they were the
Hmm.
musical guest. Um in an early episode of the very first season and then never again, and it was ABBA.
Oh
And I
man.
was like, how were they not coming back like in the later 70s, early 80s?
Mm-hmm.
But no, just the one time in the first season.
Yeah. Interesting. You
Hmm.
think with those international acts, it was probably just more logistical
Yeah,
improbability. You had to catch them on tour, but when you're on tour, you can't give up a Saturday, so that probably has a lot to do with it. I don't know. I don't know.
I guess if you're also
Um,
looking at the 80s, they probably maybe they weren't super uh keen to go back during that era of SNL.
yeah, that's true. By the time the early '80s roll around, like, you guys got some stuff to figure out. Yeah. When Lauren gets back, call me and we'll come.
Right, yeah, exactly.
We'll sing "Gimme, Gimme, Gimme." Um, but all right, well, yeah. So I just had to bring that up. I can't stop thinking about like if Doja Cat had done a Say So or had done like something from that 2021 album, Planet
Yeah,
Her, I want to say.
I think so.
Um, I don't know, but we'll get them on the next one. Campaign starts today. All right, now we're getting to the brand new stuff. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, our next episode, our first of the Christmas season, which is why we're all decorated here today. Paul Mezcal is going to host to promote Gladiator 2.
Hmm.
So we've already had our Wicked moment with Ariana Grande. We're pivoting to Gladiator 2. Musical guest Shabuzi. Um, First reactions to this, Caroline?
Um, I'm intrigued.
Yeah, yeah,
I
same.
like Paul. I
Uh huh.
think that I hope he'll make a good host. It's always tough with people who are like actors, like can they do live
Hmm.
TV? I'm sure that he'll be fine.
Yeah.
Be interesting to see because I don't he doesn't strike he's not out there like I don't know what his personality's like,
Mm.
you know?
Yeah, that's
So
true.
that'll be kind of interesting to see. And then Shabuzi, I only know the song he did on Beyonce's album. Um,
Which
I
one was
don't
that?
he was on one of the songs on Cowboy Carter, Spaghetti.
Oh, yeah.
But I know he's also on the second to last one.
Is that Sweet Honey Buckin'?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. See, it's been a bit because Cowboy Carter came out like what April. I gotta give that a listen again. But yeah, so and that's what I feel like I find with these artists is like when it's announced when Daryl Hammond goes next week,
Hmm.
Paul Mezcal. Um, I'll be like, who? And then I
Yeah.
go look him up and I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
like happened with Jelly Roll. And I'm like, I have
Yeah.
heard that around. But yeah, it's so interesting. It was very interesting to me because I looked up Shabuzi. I'm like, okay, hasn't gotten a lot of play time. Like they're breaking
Hmm.
another band kind of a thing. And then my roommate's like, oh yeah, he's number one right now.
Yeah.
His song, uh, oh my god, what's the song called?
A bar song.
Yes. Um,
Yeah.
is number one and has been on the Billboard charts for 30 weeks.
Yeah. It's like so popular, especially on like if you're just listening to like country radio,
Mm.
which admittedly I do sometimes.
Hmm.
But I mean, he's like super popular.
Hmm. Well, that's what gets people about like when Morgan Wallen comes up and is like
Hmm.
breaking Billboard records, and it's like, am I listening to Morgan Wallen? Is the Twitter circle listening to Morgan
Right.
Wallen? But
No.
they're they're getting the radio play, and that's for sure.
Yes.
But no, yeah, I feel like he'll do well live. I don't know much
I
about him,
think
so I'm
so.
looking forward to another interesting booking. And unfortunately, my prediction for the December 7th episode, which was Kyle Mooney with musical guest Sabrina Carpenter, has not happened, but still could in December, especially because of the cameo yesterday. Um,
Yeah.
that felt like putting him in the conversation for a later hosting gig.
It was very like, hey, remember Kyle?
Yeah, this is him. Yeah.
You like Kyle.
Yeah. I feel like we'll see him. We'll see him host pretty shortly because his movie is about like the new year, so maybe January.
And it
Maybe
comes
we'll
out,
see.
I think his movie might come out on December 7th.
It comes out that same weekend, which is why I had predicted
Yeah,
him and Sabrina Carpenter because Sabrina Carpenter has a Christmas special coming out
right.
the day before. So hey, we're we all gonna be wrong
It's
every now and
interesting.
then. The idea is not dead, but
No.
in terms of December 7th, it's gonna be Paul Mescal. With him, um, without a doubt, we have some thirsty sketches incoming. I just want to prepare
Yeah.
everyone.
Yes.
It's going to be like there was one John Mulaney episode where every sketch was just everybody like obsessed with John Mulaney. I think it was the Leap Day one he did. It was
Okay.
like I don't know. Every single sketch was just like everybody was attracted to John Mulaney, and I'm like, where is this coming from? On his third time hosting, where is this coming
Right.
from? So I feel like that might be the vibe we get
Oh, I'm
for
sure.
Paul Mescal.
Yeah.
Because why not? But yeah, and that's the only one they've announced, folks, as of today, November 17th,
I'd like to
2024.
make a prediction for the Paul Mescal episode.
Okay, please do.
I think that we get a Pedro Pascal cameo.
Oh, that's very interesting. That's very interesting. What did they do together? They
They're both in Gladiator, or they're both in the
they're both in
new.
Gladiator. Okay.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
that's what I'm predicting. Pedro loves to
Okay,
drop by.
potentially. Yeah, yeah, he does. That's for sure. Potentially a Pedro comes back as the mom.
Yeah, yeah.
Marcelo Hernandez's mom. Yeah.
Hmm.
So we'll see. We'll see. That would be fun.
That would be.
All right. Well, that's Hey, there's one episode to talk about. We talked about it. Anything else on the table for Paul Mescal and Shabuzi?
I don't think so.
Yeah. I'll look for. I mean, again, we're in the Christmas season now. Those
Hmm.
tend to be like the bigger episodes. We have yet another episode with two first timers. It was the premiere,
Yeah,
and then this one.
yeah.
So hey, I'm ready. I'm ready for anything, especially after the Charlie XCX episode. More on that later. The biggest headline in the SNL sphere, in the comedy sphere, in the people that breathe sphere, they have chosen a host for the Oscars, and it is Conan O'Brien. Conan O'Brien. I can't believe our luck.
I can't
This
believe
is
he said
amazing.
yes.
I. Why did he say that? I mean, thank God he said yes, but why
Yeah.
did he say yes? No, I'm thrilled.
Yes.
You don't want to put too much stock in an Oscars hosting like this, but I just feel like he can't really do wrong. You know
Yeah,
what I
it's
mean?
Conan. Like,
Yeah. We're not going to leave that night going, I wish he hadn't.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
At worst, if the whole thing goes off the rails, we just listen to the next day's podcast and he'll talk all about it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like it's a win-win-win. And yeah, I'm sure he will get the gang back together in terms of like his writing staff for that
Yeah.
particular episode. See, I'm in SNL talk here. He should host SNL again too. Been wanting that for a while.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah, but I just can't wait. I can't wait. I think people are excited about the Oscars with this prospect, which that usually doesn't tend to happen. That's no offense to Jimmy Kimmel. I think, I actually like a Jimmy Kimmel hosted Oscars. There isn't much flashy. It's not like they're not trying to put on a huge sideshow.
Right.
There's not many. He doesn't do many like extra segments. It's the monologue. It's like 9-10 minutes of jokes, and then he really steps aside, and he'll come back out and like make a joke on something that just happened, but it moves.
Yeah.
You're not like, oh boy, here's another like 3-minute bit. But that being said, I'm totally fine for Conan O'Brien to do a 3-minute bit.
Let him talk as long as he wants.
Exactly. I think we're in good hands here. So that's all I got. Caroline, anything on your mind about SNL lately?
I think
or the attached.
Yeah, I think we've covered all the new stuff, and yeah, I mean,
we finally didn't have to wait 6 weeks to do one of these episodes.
A little bit easier of a break this time.
Yeah, exactly. So I think now's the time. Of course, as we've heard before, this is a podcast focused on the future. But every now and then we do want to look into the past and look at each episode of SNL that's passed so far by the numbers. Caroline, we have 2 episodes to rapid fire review this time. Bill McGee and Burr and Charlie XCX. Bill Burr and McGee is up first. I'm ready when you are.
I think I am ready.
Well, then let's take a look at Bill Burr and McGee by the numbers. First up, we've got SNL for Donald Trump, the cold open for today. SNL pleading for Donald Trump to not do anything too serious to them. I like the premise here. I gave it a W.
I also gave it a W. I got worried that we were going to get another, get Maya at the piano maybe. Very glad they didn't.
And next up, Bill Burr's stand-up monologue. I think he did fine. He tried to distract from the issue. Audience, I don't think was ready for it. I just gave this an L on the night.
I gave it an L. It just was a little rough, and I don't know that he ever fully recovered from a tough start.
Yeah, I agree. All right, Rorschach test. What'd you feel about it?
I liked it. I'm sure that coming up with all of these ideas was really, really fun for the writers. A
fun distraction after coming in with the results on Wednesday, for sure. Yeah, graphics had a field day, absolutely. And seemed like everyone had a good time doing it, too. So. This is supposed to be Buffalo Wild Wings. Looks like that didn't come in, but we got Buffalo Wild Wings. This one felt a little darker than the Sam Adams version of it.
Yeah,
I gave it the L because I preferred that one.
I gave it a W just because it was a good time. I have a lot of family that's a lot like that. The New England side of my family, so I liked it.
Gotcha. Next we got Sex Rock. Bill Burr is selling us an album. This was a big night for Emil Joachim. I think he appears in just about every sketch, and this is just another crazy Andrew Dismukes experience. I gave it a W.
I gave it a W just for that mustache they put on Sarah.
Yeah, exactly. She had some good moments during all that. The Janitor, let's hear it.
I liked it. Good Will Hunting, James Austin Johnson's Robin Williams. So good.
I think I just found it confusing, but I did like everyone taking turns slipping in the vomit. I gave it an L, so that's a tie on this particular sketch. Calling Dad. This was a very sweet one. You don't see SNL go serious, or not serious, but sincere too often. And so I gave this a W.
This one was nice. I just had to give it an automatic W because Eagles, go Birds.
Oh yeah.
I got
exactly.
it.
And the let you go moment. We've all been there.
Oh yeah.
McGee. I know this was a huge moment for him. The performances were interesting, but just not a lot here in terms of a live performance aspect. I unfortunately gave it an L.
I also gave it an L just because I'm curious to see what it sounds like on like Spotify, but live didn't really do much.
Yeah, exactly. Look, when Michael Che brings out the whiskey, I'm in.
Absolutely.
W.
This was a good one. I need him to stop saying it's the 90s, but I'm going to let it slide a couple more times.
Yeah, that's an inside joke in The Office, I'm sure. This is the commentary. We had, look, the second I saw Willie, I was like, W.
Yeah.
But Ego's moment with the purse is great, too.
I felt very deeply Ego with the purse. And then, of course, Keenan is Willie, like, duh.
You also have a gun in your purse? Is that what you're saying?
No, maybe not that far.
Not that part. The Bald Guys musical. Wow, this was bizarre, but I loved it.
I couldn't believe that this was what they went with.
I also need to know who wrote it. I hope Bill Burr had like a lot to do with it. And also love that we never saw Mikey and Sarah again after the top.
Yeah, they're gone.
Like they were just we're just fully in the fever dream now. This one, there were some good moments here, like Ashley screaming, James Austin Johnson's breaking off camera the entire time. I did give it the L.
I gave it the L. It just didn't really click for me, and honestly, that wig that they put on Bill is like a crime.
And the long hair right after the Bald Guys musical. This was. She reminds me so much of Beth Littleford. I don't know if you know who that is, but she plays that role in a lot of like sitcoms and stuff. Okay. And so I actually I didn't enjoy it on the first watch. I enjoyed it on the second watch because like it's a huge risk to go that far into like a bad and stupid joke. You know what I mean?
Yes.
But I think on the second watch I was having a better time with it than the first watch.
I liked it. I gave it a W. It was good. It was nice to see Ashley kind of get some solo screen time there.
Get some time, yep. Ultimately, 7 wins, 3 losses, 2 ties. That's a look at the Bill Burr episode. Felt worse in the moment than it actually was, and I think it had a lot to do with like audience was dead. They were not quite ready for comedy. A couple things I noticed, couple things I picked up on. The bassist that's behind Bill Burr, I'll pull up a picture. He's right here. He was absent for the first 5 episodes of the season. I don't know. I don't know what happened there, but he's been the bassist for SNL for at least 20 years, probably more. I don't have the exact number right in front of me. I'm sure I'm putting it on the screen right now. But yeah, he was not there for the first 5 episodes, and I was a little concerned that he might have left, but good to see him back. He's always a reliable laugher,
Yeah, I love when the band laughs. I think it's so sweet.
Yeah, for sure. Another thing is that Dana Carvey, we talked about a little bit about it earlier, but Dana Carvey was the only political contractor that came back for this episode. So, like we were talking about earlier, a lot of questions surrounding like just how much we're going to see people like Andy Samberg, Maya Rudolph, Jim Gaffigan again. I would imagine Maya Rudolph and Jim are done, and Dana Carvey is on the way.
Well, and Dana in this episode debuted a new impression of Elon.
Elon Musk. So maybe that's going to buy him another
year.
That
forward now,
right? Since he's I don't know, chief of staff, whatever he's going to be. Jeez, okay.
Probably pretty close.
Probably close to that. No, he picked his chief of staff. He'll find somewhere for him, I'm sure. And then I touched on it a little bit earlier, but Emil was in every live sketch. Yeah. He was just about in every sketch of the night. Definitely his biggest time of the season, but Ashley Padilla was the only one that got to do comedy. Every
Right,
sketch
yeah.
he was in, he was like a straight man role. So, I don't know. Interesting to see where everyone's kind of settling.
Mhm.
Ashley might be more relied on for that character work.
Yeah.
But that's probably not going to put her in every single sketch every single week like it is
I
for
mean,
yeah.
SNL needs a straight man. That's how Jason Sudeikis,
That's
that was kind of
yeah.
his thing on the show. So I mean, maybe Emil's kind of falling into that category.
And that's a good place for stand-ups too, because
Yeah,
they're reacting, they're being themselves. So
right.
it makes a lot of sense. But yeah, so yeah, a lot of interesting stuff going on in the Bill Burr episode. Audience gets an L on the night for me.
Yeah,
But can't fault them.
right.
Can't fault them. Tough week. And
Yeah,
then, any L that I gave has a huge asterisk on it because, like, would I have wanted to write comedy on Wednesday night? No.
that's the
Would I
thing.
have
And you
wanted to
don't
write
know
comedy
going
on Tuesday
in.
night?
Yeah, you
Yeah.
don't know going in if the audience is gonna want to hear jokes that have nothing to do with politics to get their mind off of it, or if they want to hear only stuff about politics because that's what's going on. There's no way to
Mm-hmm.
know, and it's just a risk
Yep.
either way.
Oh yeah. What can you do? It's a with a night like that, it's a lose-lose either way,
Yeah.
unfortunately. But now we are getting some distance in the election of it all. Obviously, we'll still address it because it's SNL, but it's time to look at Charlie XCX and musical guest Charlie XCX. By the numbers, are you ready, Caroline?
I am.
Then let's do it. First up, we got the Trump and Biden meeting cold open. I thought this was going a different direction when they sent the press out of the room, but ultimately, like, there are some really good lines here that I had fun with. So I gave it the W.
I give it a W. Sarah as Matt Gaetz is haunting to me.
That is truly frightening. Truly frightening.
Very
And by
scary.
the way, a Please Don't Destroy film is announced during the open. More on that later. Now we are into Charlie XCX's monologue. This was short and sweet, but I was surprised by Kyle Mooney. Still give it the W.
I also give it a W. Kyle, what are you doing here?
And more on him later. I feel like I've said that 9 times this episode. All right, now we're looking at the baby shower, the return of Domingo. Actually, the continuation of this storyline, which I thought was kind of cool. Yeah.
I gave it a W. It was very soon to do another one, but I mean, it's a good time.
Only a month, but you know what? TikTok will love it, and all of Marcelo Hernandez's fans will love it.
They will.
Wicked auditions. I like these impression parades. But it kind of trailed off towards the end. It had a good thing going, and then like started not recognizing people. But so I did give it the L ultimately, but I like that they did another one of these.
Yeah, I gave it a tie because it just didn't really do too much for me, but we did get Bowen as Charlie, which was fun.
Which is good, which we were hoping for. L altogether on that one. Thanksgiving cake competition was wild. That's all I have time to say. I gave it an L.
Yeah, I gave it an L. I like other versions of this much more.
Yeah, and more on not that particular image, but the other one later. Another digital short. I swear to God, if these kids don't start clapping to the title card, but this was incredible and a visual masterpiece. I love it.
Beautiful.
Yes. Huge. Akiva killed it, like, pretty much. I have more questions on that one, too. Banger Boys, the podcast. It took a long time for SNL to parody these. I wish instead of, like, they would have leaned more into satirization instead of, like, how well it's going for people like that, you know?
But it to be a little
but
sharper.
I did give it a W. Yeah, I was hoping for that. Weekend
good.
Update, we'll get there. Charlie XCX performances, huge W. I was actually mesmerized by Sympathy as a Knife. Sympathy
as a Knife is such a good song.
Yeah. And she nailed it. She really, she was yelling. It was amazing.
Yeah.
I can't say enough good about it. The Weekend Update jokes were on fire tonight. The Jeffrey Epstein one, the shot. I mean, my jaw was dropped.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So good.
And Michael Che had a bit of a Norm Macdonald moment in one of the jokes. We'll talk about that later, too. We got the interviews, the commentaries. Again, fantastic. Bowen always has the prop work, which I love.
Oh, yeah. That is kind of becoming his thing now.
Yeah, it is. We want to do something crazy visually, put Bowen in.
Right.
And then whatever Sarah does, she's always roasting Colin. So it's like, I'm having fun with that, too.
Yeah, perfect combo.
Exactly. This was this I didn't like much, but I really liked Charlie in it. I still ultimately gave it the L.
I also gave it an L with the caveat that Charlie was very good in it.
It Girl Thanksgiving special. There's a lot going on here. That's all I can say.
This was.
Yeah. Yep, that's really all I got. And it was wild to see a Julia Fox impression after we know she's here.
Just have her.
So I wonder which came first. Yeah, exactly. Shrek the Musical, I was so not sure, but this sold me big.
I liked it.
And it has that like insane writing style where you're like, am I the crazy one right now? You know?
Yes.
But a note from my roommate Ryan, who watched this episode with me. Shrek the Musical, not on Broadway. So a little bit inaccurate SNL, okay? Overall, did not do the numbers that I expected it to. I really thought this was going to be our first loss overall on the season. But between the two of us, 9 wins, 4 losses, and Charlie XCX, come back anytime. Come back anytime.
He was great.
Yeah. And honestly, I think it was the commercial acting class. Again, while I wasn't a huge overall fan of that particular sketch, it was during that one where I was like, it locked in that like, she's actually kind of nailing it.
Yeah.
Top to bottom.
She's got it down.
That, you know, they didn't keep her on stage too long for the monologue, which was fine. All of these performances were crazy. One thing I did enjoy about Shrek the Musical is that you don't find out until 4 minutes into that sketch that Charlie's been calling Bowen by the wrong name the entire time.
That was amazing.
Bowen could have changed it to match, but he didn't.
Yeah,
and
he didn't.
It was even funnier. My name is Gadget.
Gadget.
We don't tend to talk about the good nights, but I don't know if you can tell. There's a wardrobe malfunction happening live on on Alec Baldwin here. Zipper way down, which was my roommate Ryan picked up on, and Ryan, I gave you credit. That was you. You called that out for me. And then shortly after that, I don't know if you can see behind Charlie XCX here, Punky Johnson hanging out in the good nights, which was kind of a surprise because I don't think she and Molly Carney departed on good terms. So it was really, there's a story here for sure, and it's very interesting
to see if anybody posted anything, giving any writing credit to her, if she just like happened to jump on for one thing. But I haven't seen anything yet that really explains her being there.
What was going on? Another thing I thought of is that, like, Charlie's been here a couple of times. She did a few sketches the last time she was on SNL with Oscar Isaac. And I don't remember if Punky was in that particular sketch, but it had me thinking, like, Kyle Mooney was present during at least her first time around. He might have still been around for the second one. I can't remember when he left. It was either 21 or 22,
I think.
So if he left in 22, then I believe he was present for the Oscar Isaac episode.
Probably.
And so was Punky Johnson. So I don't know, that very well could have been like Charlie had a connection with those particular people and was like, hey, you going to be there? And she's like, no. Well, come on down. Like, you're coming. I don't know. But very, very interesting to see her there after. It hasn't been a while. It hasn't been a long time since she was not welcomed back for season 50. Very interesting.
Maybe she was back because it was Lauren's birthday.
Maybe he's bringing back all his old pals.
Yeah.
Chloe Trost, are you? Please stop by the studio. What else do we have here? Alec Baldwin as RFK Jr. I put on every seatbelt I could when
Yeah.
he walked on as RFK Jr. because I was like, that impression is a minefield.
Yes.
He doesn't speak like that because he wants to.
Right.
And it makes for a rocky situation. Maybe their thought was like, well, I know someone whose reputation is already not super stellar.
We know a guy who will definitely do it.
Yeah, and not ask questions. Yeah.
At this point, does Alec Baldwin just kind of like lurk around the studio, waiting to get the
It's
calls?
anybody's
He is
guess.
on the show a lot.
A lot. Yeah. We're just gonna see how that develops because maybe he wants another 4-year role on the show.
Maybe.
We'll see. But what's funny is, so going back to the intro, Please Don't Destroy was announced. A film by Please Don't Destroy was announced in the open. And then in the second ad after the monologue, so in the first commercial break, they cut to a new Allstate ad that was a partnership between Allstate and Please Don't Destroy, which kind of had me thinking, oh, this must be the Please Don't Destroy film.
Right.
And then, as the show ended without showing a Please Don't Destroy film, I was like, oh, technically that was the Please Don't Destroy film.
Yeah.
Oops. Yeah, they kind of got burned with. There were already quite a few pre-tapes, at least 2. The Wicked auditions and the digital short. So we were running out of room for Please Don't Destroy. That sketch is very good though.
I loved it.
Yeah. Kind of a similar thing they did with Dakota Johnson, but
exactly. Yeah.
in a different way,
Right.
I enjoyed it. And then let's see, what else we got? Oh, one interesting difference I found in the live version versus the YouTube upload. So when the turkey like shoves out the stuffing, Charlie's cake.
Yeah.
In the live version, something gets stuck. The stuffing isn't coming out like it should. I don't know if it's like a thicker mixture that they had made that just wasn't like coming out like it was supposed to. And so you can't see hands or anything, but like the whole thing starts moving around really wildly because someone's trying to jam the stuffing through. And then it wasn't until the YouTube upload, which has it coming out like it was intended to, when I realized like, oh, that's what happened. That's why everything started shaking. So interesting sleight of hand there, SNL.
Yeah.
We thought we weren't going to notice. And but yeah, I always love when like those kinds of things happen. A line read didn't go as planned, a prop malfunctions, and they're just able to bring it back. I think it happened earlier this season, the Jean Smart episode when she's the textbook writer.
Okay.
I can't remember entirely, but I believe she holds that book upside down in the live taping of the sketch, or at least holds it backwards in some way.
Okay. Yeah.
Like holds the wrong end of the cover up to the screen. It was something like that, and I remember watching it live and going like, I don't know what I was supposed to see right then, and I think the audience had a similar reaction. So I love those kinds of things when you can pick out like, oh, they caught it, fixed it, no one's the wiser until now.
Yeah, a little bit of movie magic, if you will.
Yeah.
For the YouTube upload.
Yeah, exactly. YouTube upload magic. In terms of the digital short, the story behind Sushi Glory Hole was apparently something that the Lonely Island team kind of had in their back pocket over the last couple of years, and they weren't sure where the opportunity was going to come to like stage that. And then this Doug Emhoff thing comes up. Andy Samberg's on the show. Let's make a digital short. I wonder if this this was a similar situation where they
Yeah,
had it laying around. Don't know for sure. Don't know if we ever will. They might talk about it on the podcast, but
they might.
yeah, another interesting scenario that's like, where did this particular song come from?
I'm starting to feel bad for Yorma because he's
I
missing.
know.
I'm like, get him involved. Don't leave him out.
I know all this is happening while he's in Finland. I
Right.
do want to look before we confirm that though. He might have. Oh, okay. I thought he was credited on the episode as a writer, but what I
Oh,
saw was a writer by the name of Moss Pericone, which I
oh,
read as when it was really fast,
yeah,
Jorma Taccone. Um,
right.
but yeah, so yeah, he's just in Finland, like waking up Sunday morning, going,
Oh,
"Oh, they made another short. Okay." Uh, he'll be back. I feel like Andy's not going anywhere this year.
no.
Um, and then here's one thing that struck me, which might be getting, we're gonna get technical here. The Charlie performances, in terms of the music performances, obviously, the fact that she was able to like really hold down the stage
Yeah,
um, alone, no band, minimal set, nothing. It's just her, and in some cases, a purse. Right,
right.
the first one she was like holding a bag. Um, was incredible, but also it was shot really well.
Mm-hmm.
And SNL always has beautiful stage production, and it's always captured really well for TV. But Sympathy as a Knife was different. They really like
Yeah,
settled into a groove there. It was so fast. I don't think they stayed on the same camera for longer than a line of the song.
right.
And man, it just looked really, really good. And so obviously we've had a new director now on SNL for the last 3-4 seasons. She started in season 47, Liz Patrick, who used to direct for the Ellen DeGeneres show for that entire run.
Oh wow.
Um, she overlapped with Don Roy King for a half a season 47, and then Don Roy King retired at the end of 2021. It's been Liz Patrick ever since. And there have been slight changes in the capturing of these music performances that I've been like, okay, I see some, there's definitely some new minds behind the way that they cover these. But that like the Charlie XCX performance was I would say their in terms of Liz Patrick's team, their biggest challenge so far.
Yeah,
Which is kind of crazy, but like it's kind of crazy to think that a single person on an empty stage would be difficult.
right.
But
Yeah,
there's not anything else to look at for 6 solid minutes. And you have to make sure you're not jump cutting, you're not taking, and with as fast as it is, you're trying not to take a camera that isn't ready.
mm-hmm.
Everything's focused on the same thing, and it was still so dynamic and so cool.
Yeah.
Every time they took the crane camera and like lowered it really fast, it made the stage. I think that's called like a parallax effect with the depth of the
Oh
party
yeah,
girl parts of the wall.
right.
How that kind of like bent the room in a way. It was cool, man. It
It
was really
was.
good. Yeah, if again on the surface that performance might look wild and too much, but they did something very new and different that I was very much digging. So
Yeah. No, those
that's my
performances were
way.
incredible.
Yeah, that's we'll now leave the way too technical corner, but I think Liz Patrick there's definitely a groove now
Mm-hmm.
in terms of like the coverage of, and there has been for a while, but like that performance I know was tough, and they really nailed it. So I was pumped. That's our 2 episodes
Only
that we were
two
going to
this
review.
time.
Anything else? Yeah, only 2. Remember when we did 5? That was crazy. Um, Anything else for the past or for SNL as a whole before we pivot here at the end?
I think so. I think that about covers it
Yeah,
for
I think so
me.
too.
Anything from you?
No, I've somehow I filled another hour and a half, so I think I'm good. um, so now, SNL is not the only thing we watch. It's not the only thing we talk about. We occasionally dip into some other forms of media. Caroline, what else have you been taking in lately these days?
I have been watching the new season of Shrinking on Apple TV.
Okay.
I'm
You're
back
going
with
to be our
another.
Apple. I was going to say,
Yeah, I am their spokesperson. There's some really good stuff on there if you're willing to look for it.
clearly, yeah, yeah. You are. We're going to, you got to change your title, resident Apple TV correspondent. You always
That's
got
me.
what's new and fresh over there. What's shrinking about? Who's in that one again?
This
I know
is
the name,
Jason
but
Segel and
okay, yes,
Harrison
that's right.
Ford.
Okay.
Those are like the two big names. But they are basically, it's mostly about Jason Segel, and he's a
Mm,
therapist, but
mm,
he's branching out to his own version of therapy where he gets very involved in his patients' lives
interesting.
to
Okay.
varying degrees of success. So it's,
Now, do they know he's getting involved
mhm,
with the patient's lives? Okay, okay.
yeah, he's just getting a little more direct about his advice and stuff. But it's
Gotcha.
that whole
Okay.
obvious thing of, oh, this therapist who's helping these people is also a mess himself, believe it or not. And so then you
Mm,
have that kind of dynamic. But it's mostly just like an incredible like cast. Like it's just a fun cast of people. And the writing
hmm
is just like it's good. And Harrison Ford is really good in it. And
hmm.
I just worth checking out. It's a good time. Heidi
Yeah,
Gardner is in
good
it
to know.
very briefly.
Wild, nice, good for her.
Yeah,
Is it more of a drama or a comedy?
it's a comedy.
It's a comedy. Okay,
Hmm.
gotcha. Sounds
Yeah.
really. How does this work? If he's like following these people around, like
No, it's
live
just that
in.
he has his so for Heidi Gardner's character, she's one of his patients, and she
Mhm.
has an emotionally abusive husband, and so she comes in every week and talks about him, and Jason Segel's character finally goes like just gives her the advice to, throw something at him next time he yells at her, to like she ends up pushing him off a cliff.
Oh my god.
So a little too far, but it's stuff like that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay.
So
Huh.
it's good. It's interesting.
What causes? I might be spoiling the whole episode. Is there like a breaking point for Jason Segel that pushes him
It's
to
the
start
very beginning
changing?
of the series. His wife has died a year earlier, maybe,
Hmm.
and he has a teenage daughter. And so then he's a mess because his wife died, and then he's not there for his daughter. So then he's trying to like mend those fences while also
Hmm.
helping his patients. And then it's just a lot of interpersonal drama, but it's fun.
Very interesting.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's a good one.
good to know. Yeah, and Harrison Ford can't beat that.
I mean, yeah,
What's his connection? Is he another patient?
he's he's another therapist at their kind of practice.
Gotcha.
He's very no nonsense, as Harrison Ford tends to be.
I see.
So,
Interesting. Interesting things happening over on Apple TV.
yeah, if you're willing to do some digging, there's some good stuff.
Right. You'll find it eventually. It'll pop out. So I as you have brought a lot of Apple TV shows to the
Yeah.
table, I've brought a lot of HBO shows to the
Mm,
table. At least the last week it was another HBO show and another old HBO show. But a friend of mine, Thomas Millett, has started to watch The Jinx. He watched that a couple of weeks ago. This is the Robert Durst documentary.
hmm
For those of you that don't know, he confesses on camera on a hot mic in this particular documentary. They didn't set out to get that confession, but ultimately they got it,
Yep.
and man, it is a really, really wild ride because like the guy, Andrew Jarecki, who directed this documentary and also a movie, like a feature film based on like the Robert Durst cases.
Mm.
Um, he he said he set out to make something when he made the first movie to make something that even Robert Durst would find um, sympathetic because again, innocent until proven guilty. It
Yeah.
was assumed that he was responsible for all these crimes, but he wanted something that even he could identify with, to not totally, completely alienate, villainize. Sure enough, the film premieres, and he gets a call from Robert Durst, and that's what spawns all of these conversations. He sits down. He's willing to sign up for a full interview with
Yeah.
Andrew Jarecki, the director of the previous film, and so that's who's doing this film, The Jinx, this documentary series. Um, but and he tells him, he's like, I want to be the one that can come into this with an open mind, right? Because he hasn't been getting the fair shake, quote unquote.
Hmm.
Ultimately, he didn't deserve it, but that's how he wanted to go into it to really connect. And so that's the whole starting point for this documentary. But it's so wild to hear Robert Durst talk through his like reasoning
Yeah.
for a lot of the things he did. That's like no innocent person would go to these lengths. You know what I mean? Like even your reasoning is trying to get away from something.
Right.
So it's just it's crazy. And when I'm not totally all the way through it, I'm in episode 4 right now. But Thomas tells me that apparently he starts to get really, really sloppy towards the end.
Unsurprising. Yeah.
And then the cherry on top is obviously he goes to the restroom, he has a mic on, he's talking to himself in the mirror, and
Yeah.
confesses to it all. Yeah,
I
crazy
have
ride.
this vision of Kate McKinnon doing a Robert Durst impression
Ooh,
somewhere.
okay. If that exists, I'm putting it in right now.
What's your name, bud?
My name is Robert Durst.
Okay, Robert.
Oh, this is really good too.
I know.
Oh, that impression's very, very good, and I
Studied.
don't think I realized it at the time. Yeah.
That's one of those
Oh
things
my
that
god.
once you get the context of it, you're like, oh, that.
Yeah, and you know what? This is probably one of those ones that I just kind of that was in one ear, out the other because it
Hmm.
came out before I saw it. It was on an episode that I didn't particularly enjoy. I believe this was Dwayne the Rock Johnson. Um, and that's so funny. That's wow. Good call. Good call. I totally forgot about that. You wouldn't honestly go watch that sketch. You wouldn't believe how accurate it is. You wouldn't believe. Um, but yeah, crazy, very well done documentary that has a part two.
Right.
They revisited this whole story and put it out in like March, I want to say, of 2024. So definitely we'll be looking forward to finishing up that series. Caroline, we did it.
We
Final
did it.
thoughts?
Excited for the next episode
Yeah.
and hopefully the next announcement.
To be literally to be announced. We'll
Yes.
see
Yeah.
when we get the other the next set of cards, if you will.
Right.
All right. Well, Caroline, thank you so much. Great work out there, and we'll see you all next time. Goodbye.